How about tofurkey nuggets? Yes. We're turning to John 21. First verse, last chapter of John, page 883. This is after the resurrection of Christ. This is his third appearance. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias, that is, the Sea of Galilee. And he showed himself in this way. Gathered there together with Simon Peter, Thomas called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two other of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, "I'm going fishing." They said to him, "We will go with you." They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Ron, how are they feeling about right now? How are the fishermen who've been skunked all night feeling? Just about daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. And Jesus said to them, interestingly, way to address these guys, "Children, you have no fish, have you?" They're feeling great. They answered him, "No." He said to them, "Cast the net to the right side of the boat and you will find some." So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. That disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on some clothes, for he was naked, and he jumped into the sea. But the other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish. But they were not far from land, only about 100 yards off. When they had gone ashore, they saw a charcoal fire there with fish on it and bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish that you have just caught." So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore full of large fish, 153 of them, and though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." Now none of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" because they knew it was the Lord. Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them and did the same with the fish. This was now the third time that Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." A second time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And Jesus said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And Peter felt hurt because he had said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." And Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you used to fasten your own belt to go wherever you wished. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will fasten a belt around you and take you where you do not wish to go." He said this to indicate the kind of death by which he would glorify God. And this he said to him. After this he said to him, "Follow me." Friends, this is the gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to God. How many of you have recently experienced some degree of disappointment? Any people experience some disappointment recently? Well, I got to tell you, in the trip to England, where I have been running since December in weather that has been 5 degrees, sometimes down to 0, outrunning miles. By the time I got to running, I was so excited and was so mentally prepared for this marathon. First 6 miles were a breeze. I mean, they went by so fast. You know, if you've ever run any kind of distance like that and you are so hyped up, I couldn't wait for the people to get out of my way. They were going so annoyingly slow. And then the next 6 miles, 7 miles after that, it just kind of went along and life was good. 13 miles in, only 13 miles to go. Everything was happy. Mile 14, mile 15 came on. All of a sudden I became aware of the fact that they don't serve food at these running stops in England. There's no bananas, there's no oranges, all there is water. Mile 16, mile 17, mile 18. Now I'm starting to feel a little tired. Mile 19, mile 20, and all of a sudden disappointment hit because my quads locked up at mile 20. So it was massage time, and then as I started to see some people older than me running past me, I knew it was time to run. I didn't care how much pain it was, how many times it locked up, in the disappointment that I had to walk it all, which wasn't what my focus was. I forced myself all the way through the 26. Disappointments come. I remember the disappointments we had in our mission church in upstate New York, where after we had organized the church for 3 years, and then we had met another 3 years in another neighboring church, and the church was growing marvelously, but we weren't strong enough to build yet. I felt that disappointment when the pastor called me into that office and said, "You folks need to leave." I didn't know why. You know, they had maybe 2 kids in Sunday school. They had maybe 40 people in worship. We had 160 people in worship. We had about 120 kids in Sunday school. We were vibrant. We added life to their building. And he said, "No, you need to move." And I felt that disappointment that this isn't the right time. But looking back, I can see how God blessed that movement. I remember the disappointment I felt after we had built the church. And we'd grown to about 350 in worship, and all of a sudden there were some people who stopped coming to the church. And I asked them, I said, "You know, you've only been here 9 months, you've only been here a year. Why are you leaving? Why are you going elsewhere?" "Because you are not feeding us enough food."